Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Pro Tools' built-in workspace browser to import audio and how to edit that audio. Let's get started. In Pro Tools, if I go to the window menu, I can choose New Workspace and I'm going to choose Default. The workspace is a special browser within Pro Tools that gives you enhanced functionality for your audio. So I have to navigate to where my Pro Tools loops are. I know that mine are in my external hard drive. So in the sidebar, I'm going to open up Volumes, my Van Bibber 2 external hard drive, Sample Media, and then I'm going to click on Pro Tools Loops. In the main window, it shows me the contents of this folder. I'm going to open up Dance DJ and go to Drums and maybe some techno beats. You can see that there's a naming convention for these beats. Each loop starts with a number. 120 is the tempo that this loop was originally recorded at. It's techno drums and it's the first one. Wave is the file type. If you see these ASD files, you can ignore those. Those are for Ableton Live, but Pro Tools sees them anyway. So if I click on this, it's going to give me a little preview. You can also see the audio waves here. It also tells you how long these loops are. Now, for some reason, this is listing as 33960. It's really probably supposed to be 4 bars long. Not sure what's going on there. And you could audition as many loops as you like. Let's go to a completely different style. How about R&B, funk, soul? Let's get some guitar loops. So funk guitar, yes. So this is a funk guitar, originally recorded at 95 beats per minute. It's funk. It's wah, so it kind of describes the guitar. And then it has this capital A. That means that this loop is in A major. Like these loops are in E major. If it has a little M next to it, then it's going to be in minor. And let's see if I don't see any funk guitar loops in minor, but you'll come across one. Oh, here's one, A sharp minor. So let's listen to one of these loops. There we go. Okay, now before we import these loops, there is a really big important button to know about, and it's this button right here, the metronome icon in the workspace browser. If this is turned off, then all of these loops will play and import at their original tempos. So if we had the 105 loop over the 115 loop, they wouldn't sound good together because they'd be at different tempos. But if I turn this on and it's lit up in green, then all of the loops are forced to play and import at the session tempo. Right now, the session tempo is 110 beats per minute. So if I bring this guitar in here, it imports right in. I can drag it to the beginning. And because we had that metronome icon on, it imported at exactly 4 bars. And I can play it. Now let's add another loop over top of it. Oh, not that one. Let's get some drums. And we'll get some funk drums. Now, the thing about forcing Pro Tools to stretch the tempos of these loops is that you want to kind of stick close to the original tempo. So going from 105 beats a minute to 110 beats per minute, not that big of a deal. But if I go to bring this to the front, if you try to change like 70 beats per minute to 110, it's not going to sound that great. Let's listen. It's got a lot of weird audio artifacts in it. You can tell it's been stretched. So we want to keep kind of close to the original tempo. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to find a funk beat, maybe one of these 112s. Let's listen to this. Not really digging those. Let's try this one. I'm just going to drag it in. There it is. Not sure why there's an audio track there. I'm going to right click and delete that. And let's listen to these together. Not too bad. And you can keep doing that. You can layer your loops on top of each other, and you can arrange them, and this is how we build a loop composition. Now I'm going to close the workspace browser for a minute so I can show you the editing tools. So the main editing tools in Pro Tools are here, and your main editing modes are here. If you'll notice, I'm working with music and I'm working to a tempo. So my main counter is in bars and beats. If it were in minutes and seconds, it wouldn't make as much sense. I mean, what does 3 seconds even mean, right? So I'm going to stick in bars and beats. And also, I'm going to stick with grid mode. In grid mode, if I zoom in, and I'll show you how to do that later. In grid mode, my cursor and my editing tools are all locked to the grid. I can change the grid size up here. Right now it's on a quarter note. I could change it to an 1/8 note or a 16th note, and that's pretty standard. I can use my editing tools to change this audio. So first, let's take a look at the grabber. The grabber allows me to grab audio and move it around. I can move it in time. I can move it down to the next track. It won't matter. The names of the tracks won't change, but the sound won't change either because it's audio. If I choose the selector, I can select audio, and I could do things like delete it or do something else with it. I can copy and paste using the standard Command-C, Command-V commands like you would find in Microsoft Word. I can undo things that I've done by pressing Command-Z, just like in any other program. And Pro Tools provides you with 64 levels of undo. I can use the trim tool to trim the end. Now, I can't trim it more than the whole file. This is not a loop trimmer like in some other programs, but I can trim it down. Now, it's a hassle to go back and forth between all three of those tools. So Pro Tools has this handy frame around them, and if you click that, you get the Smart tool. The Smart tool is a context-sensitive tool. If your mouse is in the top part of the waveform, it becomes the selector. If your mouse is in the bottom part of the waveform, it becomes the grabber. And if it's at the end, it becomes the trimmer. It's very handy. The Smart tool also has an additional feature, and I'm going to make this track a little bit bigger so I can show it to you, and that is the fade tool. If I go into the upper left-hand corner, it gives me a fade in. And if I go to the upper right-hand corner, it gives me a fade out. If I do that to both of those, pretty smooth. All right, now some other things you may be watching me do, and you're saying, how is he doing that? Are these editing shortcuts. Now, to understand the editing shortcuts, there is one button I need to tell you about, and that is right here. This little yellow A to Z. There are actually 3 of these. There's one down here in the groups box, and there's one up here in the clips box. But I never use those. I only use the one in the main editing area, and that is this yellow A to Z. It's called the keyboard focus button. If this is on, you have access to the following shortcuts. If it's turned off, those shortcuts will not work. So make sure that this yellow A to Z keyboard focus button is turned on at all times. If that's turned on, you have some shortcuts you don't need to use the command key for. So I can click my cursor and click the letter B as in boy and separate, make little cuts in the audio, and then I can move those around with the grabber. If I want to undo, I can just press the letter Z without using command. I can select, press C and V without command to copy and paste, or I can press X. Sorry, I keep double clicking. I can press X to cut without any command key involved. And that's just kind of handy. Another really handy shortcut with keyboard focus mode enabled are the letters R and T. T zooms in wherever your cursor is. R zooms out. So the bottom row of the keyboard, Z, X, C, V, and B are your editing tools, and the R and T keys at the top of your typing keyboard are your zoom tools. Now you know how to import audio from the Workspace browser, all right? And you know how to edit that audio with the editing tools. You know some keyboard shortcuts, and you know to work in grid mode and in bars and beats. That's enough to get you started. In the next few videos, I'm going to show you how to arrange your audio into a pleasing manner for a loop composition project, and then eventually how to add your own loops using MIDI instruments.